is the Stop Playing podcast with Sham and Shaka. I'm Sham.
I'm Shaka. What's going on, Sham?
Watching this versus. That's what's going on. It's still going.
Yeah, it's going on right now. And from how you've been reacting, it sounds like it's very good.
I mean, it's Erykah Badu and Jilly from Philly. Like,
sure. So that means that no sound problems. Relatively seamless production so far.
Well,
I said relatively. So the fact that it's even being produced puts it miles ahead of some of the other ones that have happened up to this point, correct? Yeah. Exactly. But no, it's listen, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, both awesome. So I wouldn't expect anything less. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Had a walkthrough in my new house today.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah, the family, we told the family about the purchase and upcoming closing and upcoming move-in last week. So everything in the walkthrough is everything where it's supposed to be. No buyer's remorse, right?
No, all the repairs have been done to the home.
Good.
Per the inspection. There's one little thing that didn't happen, but that's cool. It's nothing. And we're just waiting for them to. The carpet looked a little suspect, but they promised that it'll be done by Monday, which is settlement. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, in the home buying and settling in process, there's always something. But in general, I speak for the family. We are happy for you. Settle in and settle in well.
Cabbage Patch.
But so, okay. Well, that was today. But in general, how's your week been up to this point?
It's been all right. Nothing to report, really.
Now, look, there's been a lot going on. We always say that last few episodes, we know that the pandemic has sort of changed life as we know it. So news has taken on a different form and shape. But at the same time, this week, because of the reaction to the pandemic and what's happened with it, I think that it'd be safe to say news has blossomed out because America, for better or for worse, has decided to reopen its doors. We were alluding to it 2 weeks ago and then last week, and the reopening of doors has already started to happen.
Not where I live.
Now, to your point, yeah, it's not everywhere. I live in D.C., and the mayor has really put a stake down and said, look, we're not even thinking about reopening anything until June, and don't even set me on a date. You live in Maryland, and we'll talk about that. But yeah, Governor Hogan has also been pretty adamant, like, look, we're not opening for business completely anytime soon. But in a lot of the country, the South, even the West, there have been some reopenings this week, and there have been there have been some results. But we're also still getting a wave of bad news about deaths still rising. Where I think 1.2 million cases, maybe 1.3, in between that, and definitely at minimum 70,000 deaths at this point across the country. So the 1.2 million cases far surpasses all the cases on Earth at this point. We can't believe what China says, but every other country has like 100,000 or 200,000 reported cases. So, but as far as deaths go, 70,000, yeah, that's a bad look too. Somebody said it best. It's 9/11 like every day. Like there are 2,000 to 3,000 deaths every day at this point from COVID-19. So that's where we're at. But we're deciding to reopen. Now, what's Maryland doing? You were talking about it.
Maryland has only opened like beaches and parks. Mm-hmm. They're not really opening anything else yet. The big news was last week they were talking about reopening Ocean City and everybody started to go crazy, but it was like, opening it to the residents.
Yeah.
So if they want to go out and hang out and chill, there's not going to be any bars or restaurants, anything open on the boardwalk. So don't even bring y'all thirsty asses down here. Just for the residents so they can get out and get a breather. But other than that, yeah, just some parks and some beaches, but state is still closed for the most part.
Now, what do you even think about that, though, the parks and the beaches? I mean, is there even any point to doing that? Because it can only invite, like, crowds.
Well,
right?
there's new logic that fresh air and vitamin D, meaning sunlight,
from the sun,
is actually helpful. So,
okay,
I guess that's the idea behind it.
I don't subscribe to that because 45 was touting that theory a couple of weeks ago. Now, he wasn't touting it from a scientific basis. He heard it and then like put it as gospel. But still, nah, I'm not with that. I'm not going to a beach or a park.
I don't subscribe to that because it's thousands of people in Africa, the hottest place on earth, with all the sun in the world that's suffering and dying. So nah, I don't subscribe to that either.
I mean, the sun shines on the earth half of the day, every day. COVID-19 will be, or coronavirus will be done by now. So forget it. But whatever. If people want to go to the beach that badly, let them go. Other than that, week's been uneventful for you?
Nope, nothing.
Well, you already talked about it. I mean, you're getting ready to settle into the home. And for me, it's been a good week. I mean, look, Mother's Day is coming up on Sunday.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow, within a few hours at this point. It's interesting. I mean, you spend a lot of time with your mother. You're her caretaker. I have not seen my mother in person for quite some time. So we've been talking every day. I mean, let's get that straight. But got arranged a little Mother's Day present for her. So she'll see it when it happens tomorrow, hopefully. But other than that, work has been good. I've been settling in. Listen, virtual hangouts, that I haven't done as many of them, but they've been good and just been going out. Now, one thing that happened this weekend that we get to the news, we'll talk about it later in more detail, but the NFL schedule came out, so it got me ramped up for the NFL. And look, we don't know if the NFL is going to happen. Right now, like every other sports league, it's in jeopardy, and we talked about that. But it has the best chance of having some semblance of its former self because it doesn't start for a few months. So our friend Angela and the So Fancy website, we've talked about that on the show. She made me a couple masks. She made me a mask for the Raiders, and she made me a mask for the Nationals. She's put that on the So Fancy website. We put that on our page, and that's how we support our Black businesses. And y'all, listen, don't all clamor at my mask at once, okay? I know I look dope in them, but just back off. I'll get your orders when I get your orders. But in all seriousness, So Fancy, thank you very much. Angie, thank you very much. Now we can get to the news. But Sam, have you, I wanted to inject some levity because, look, if we're going to start with the news, let's just get to the horrific news this week. And it's not really news. That's the problem. So we had...
I was like literally about to say that, it's funny. Like everybody was like, oh my God. And then when everybody found out when it actually happened, we were like, what?
Yeah. And, I'll confess. I heard about this story a long time ago and, didn't have the details for it. And I felt like I didn't have enough information to come out on the podcast with it. But it's the same. Now, I know his last name is Arbery, but is it Ahmaud Arbery?
I mean, I would assume that its proper pronunciation would be Ahmaud, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, could be Ahmaud.
Yeah, Ahmaud or Ahmaud Arbery in Brunswick, Georgia. The video came out this week of his murder. There's no other way to put it. I mean, cold-blooded murder. And it came out on Tuesday. And, it's unraveled over the course of the week. But what's also unraveled over the course of the week is that this video was known to the authorities in Brunswick, Georgia, and since February when this incident happened.
Yeah, they was gonna let that shit ride.
And yeah, they were gonna let it ride. People were recusing themselves. People saying there's nothing to see here. And finally, yesterday, yesterday will be Friday. So was it Thursday or Friday that they were charged? I think it was Thursday. That the perpetrators were charged. Is it McPherson's? Actually, I'm struggling for the names right now because I had them on bullet point, but anyway, I'm struggling for the names of the perpetrators, but they were charged.
Gregory McMichael and Travis McMichael.
There it is. Father and son, 64 and 34. That I do know.
That dude's 34? Jesus.
Yeah, I know, right? And anyway.
Life was hard.
Yeah. And they've been charged. Their bail hearing was on Friday. Okay, so now I'm back with it. Their bail hearing was on Friday. They were denied bail. So both father and son are in jail where they should have been since February when this happened. Any thoughts on this?
I'm just like, how y'all just letting people run around and like just kill people? Like,
yeah,
they straight
point blank
killed this dude with a shotgun, and y'all was like, whatever. What?
Sham, have you seen the video?
Yeah, I saw it.
It's horrific.
Oh, but here's the crazy part. So they said that they had done it because of some robberies happening in the neighborhood.
Correct. Burglaries,
right?
Yeah.
In home, correct.
Yeah.
Burglaries happen in the neighborhood. So they took it upon themselves to what do they call it? Vigilante justice.
Yeah. Yep. Neighborhood watch and vigilante.
Vigilante justice. But it came out that there were actually no reports of any burglaries.
Correct.
In that neighborhood.
Yep.
During that time. So they can't even hold that water.
And Black Twitter has dug into the perpetrators as normally the victim will be dug into. So Mr. Arbery, as of right now, we haven't gotten the villainization of the victim as we normally would have gotten. Because, upstanding citizen. Even if he wasn't, it didn't matter. But the point being, they got nothing on him. But Black Twitter is already on the perpetrators. And yeah, we pulled up some images of some, let's just say, borderline racist, if not racist, propaganda on Facebook, social media, that kind of thing. So yeah, they don't have a leg to stand on. Now, we as in Black media, social media, whatever, is gonna give them what they did not give Mr. Arbery, which is a day in court, and see how it plays out. But to say we're a little skeptical is polite because we've seen this movie before. So let's see how this plays out. But we are not optimistic that the outrage that everyone's shown at the beginning is going to be the result at the end. I guess that'll be the best way to say it. That's my thoughts on it. I mean, everybody's been kind of on the chorus on social media, but I've been kind of laying low on it because you watch that video, man, and it's ridiculous. That is one of the worst pieces of footage I've ever seen. They murdered that man. If they do anything less than life in prison with no parole, that's injustice. They should fry both their asses for it. And that's my take on it. Sorry, now we can move on, unless you got something else.
I agree.
Yeah.
So what's going on with Jacqueline McBride?
All right, so Jacqueline McBride, she's a product of the coronavirus lack of news, but Man, you want to talk about privilege, Sham? Jacqueline McBride lives in Philadelphia. So basically, what she decided to do was go into a store, a high end store, and when she was confronted about wearing a mask, she decided to spit on the person confronting her. And then when she walked out, she spat on two people in the same day. And they caught her on tape doing this. So when they caught her on camera, and then people started sacking her social media, she came out and made a statement and said, I'm paraphrasing. I could be a little bitchy sometimes, but people are making me out to be a monster when I'm not really a monster. I was just having a bad day. People have bad days sometimes and this and that. I haven't had a job in a while. I'm trying to feed my family. Now, mind you, she was shopping in a high-end store. It wasn't Gucci, but it was something like that. And she decided she wanted to spit on other patrons of the store. Patrons. So basically, her excuse was that she's had a hard life so far and that she's been laid off. So she didn't say it gave her an excuse to spit, but she just wanted us to understand why she spat on those people.
So she was shopping at a DeBruno Brothers in
There
Philadelphia.
it is.
And apparently, before she spat at the customer, she pulled down her bandana and said, "Bitch, I don't have a virus," and spat in her face and ran off.
That part I did not know.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it first started with the employee, like you said, and then she went back to the place. And that's when some words were, she had bumped into a customer, and the words were exchanged. And that's when she said, "Bitch, I don't have a virus," and spat in her face.
Yeah. So she spat on two people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. You're not a monster, but you sure showed us some monstrous behavior. So how we know? Like, first of all, you just don't be going around spitting on people. She spat on the right people. Because if the bitch would have spat on me, she would have got cold cocked right in the face. We not doing that. Sorry, man.
I've laid down on my show on this show. I've laid down my position on this show since season 1 about my position on spitting on people. That young lady is very fortunate that she caught whoever she caught with that madness. To be able to spit on two people, and be able to sit here and be flippant about an interview about why you did it, forget about it.
But this is the crazy thing too. The customer that she spat on says that she's not even really tripping off of it. She's like, as far as what happens to her next, she just wants to make sure she knows that she never does it again. She's like, I wasn't hurt or anything, but you can't go around walking to do. Sometimes though, I understand that sometimes you just want people to learn a lesson, but sometimes the lesson has to come in a balled up fist. You see what I'm saying?
Right. I'm not. You've told a story about spitting. I've never been spat on purpose in that respect, and I just can't even imagine. It's ridiculous. But this young lady, she's a piece of trash, like point blank, period. So, that came out this week though. But it really highlighted, and actually I didn't include it in the outline, but this is tragic. We alluded to it in our last show about how people just don't know how to act in this pandemic. So we talked about, customers going into stores and not knowing how to act about masks and being asked to wear them. We did talk about that in the last episode. There were two Dollar Tree stories that are just heartbreaking. One is heartbreaking, one's disgusting. The disgusting one first, where the person was asked to wear a mask and they didn't want to do it, and then they wiped their nose on the shirt. I think you may have mentioned that. Maybe so, maybe not. I'm not sure. But then the other one, though, I don't know if you saw this. These are all Black people involved in this last story, where in a Dollar Tree, The security guard asked the customer to wear a mask. She got mad, didn't want to do it, left the store, got her husband and her son. She's in her 40s. Her husband is in his 40s, and their son is in his 20s. Came back and shot the security guard, Sham, and killed him.
So
over
all
wearing a
y'all going to
mask.
prison.
Yeah.
For the rest of your lives. Because you didn't want to wear a mask.
I saw the story about them on late night news. They interviewed the security guard's wife. That man had 8 children, and the security guard job was like his second job. He was also a pillar in that community, a coach, like a mentor, all of that. And all he was trying to do was protect them, but they had an attitude. It escalated, and then they went back home, and then came back and shot him. Ridiculous.
Yeah, because at that point, that's murder one. It's premeditated. You don't went home and got a weapon and came back for him. Yeah, nah. See ya.
And if I say they should fry those white guys for killing Arbery, they should fry those black motherfuckers who killed that security guard. I don't cuss on the show that much, but I was that upset. This man is trying to protect y'all. Did y'all come back and kill him? Forget it. Fry them too. So, yeah, I mean, I don't like the death penalty unless we absolutely sure who needs to be fried, and then fry them.
Well, we know for certain that they need to be fried. All 3 of them. Yeah. Sorry, not sorry.
Exactly. So it's been a tough week news-wise. And we knew this. I told Sham this. I was like, man, it's been a tough week. And I've been a little emotional about the news. But I'm laughing, but this ain't good news either. I mean, we don't have good news coming up by any stretch. But this is just comical in the sense of corruption. Sham, one of our favorite segments, back from season 1, one of the finale episodes of season 1 was when we were talking about Michael Flynn. And it was looking pretty bad for Michael Flynn, wasn't it?
Yeah, he knew way better than we did, because, dang.
Yeah, he was strolling the courtroom. Judge had him dead to rights, this and that. He going to jail. And then we alluded to it in season 2, like, hey, man, 45 might be, working on something. The Justice Department announced yesterday that they are basically throwing out Michael Flynn's case, commuting his sentence, case closed. Michael Flynn about to walk out of jail. And Sham, I don't know if you saw the same picture I saw, but he had shades on walking out.
Of course he did. I didn't see that picture, but the picture I saw, he's smiling like he just got a birthday present.
Yeah. He was smiling like he was smiling the day that he was walking to the court that we saw. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He was like, man, this took way longer than I thought, but this is what I thought would happen the day that I walked into court. This is just a year and a half off. Like, what's going on here?
This man pleaded guilty.
To lying to the FBI.
Pleaded guilty.
Yeah, I lied to the FBI about an ongoing case. Obstruction of justice to the feds. You're supposed to be all the way under the jail for something like that.
Did you hear your boy's comments?
Who? Oh, 45?
Yeah.
No, I did not hear the exact comment. What was it?
He was an innocent man. He's a great gentleman. He was targeted by the Obama administration, and he was targeted in order to try and take down a president. And what they've done is a disgrace, and I hope a big price is going to be paid. A big price should be paid.
I mean,
when everything's about the Obama administration. Like, okay, how is this administration targeting him? Like, get out of here.
Yeah. Now, in full disclosure, we did say Obama did tell him Flynn is a liar, but has nothing to do with the fact that Obama couldn't have predicted that he would have lied after that and then got caught for it.
First of all, Obama doesn't have an administration.
Exactly. Obama's retired. Got a whole retirement beard and all that. Shane, what do you think of the retirement beard, by the way? Quick aside.
It's all right. I don't really have an opinion.
Okay. You've seen it though, right? Yeah. All right. A lot of people like it. He looks very relaxed.
Too relaxed to be going after Michael Flynn.
No, yeah, he's like,
his
look,
invisible administration.
He's like, look, man, yeah, exactly. Hey, look, I told the man that he was a liar, whatever. But yeah, so Michael Flynn's walking. Yeah, let's wrap up on one of our stories. So he's sailing off in the sunset. A couple other things before we wrap up the general news, unless we have anything. We have Biden, Uncle Joe. Uncle Joe, at least as far as the polls are concerned, Sham, he's looking good.
Told you. They just steadily keep going up.
They said, yeah, you know what? Hillary was looking good too.
No, she wasn't.
No, in the polls, yes, she was.
Not as good as this.
Okay. Like I said, when the Access Hollywood tape came out, like people were like, game over. Now, granted, we're in May, so we still have some time. But he's up. He's up. That being said, and the other good piece of this for him is that the allegations against him that we talked about in the last couple of weeks, especially last week, they don't seem to be damaging him very much.
No, the American public love men in office who do bad things to women.
Yeah. I mean, they don't like to hold him accountable. And look, you said it last week. He's faced this head on. He's like, look, if you want to investigate, go do it. Open up all the books, do whatever you need to do. He's been on various interviews, like saying the right things, even in terms of she made an allegation and it should be taken seriously. I know I didn't do it, but let the process play out correctly. And he said it in that way. He's been very unlike clumsy Uncle Joe that could have mishandled something like this. He's actually been very gracious about it and eloquent about it. And I think we'll see. I mean, if he did it, then all of this is like psychopathic. But at least he's been able to navigate it competently. So it hasn't hurt him. It hasn't hurt him yet. But they've been pressing allegations though. So at least it's been investigated. Have you seen anything kind of unusual about it? But it looks like it's going okay, right?
Yeah.
So listen.
Except for the fact that Tara Reid says that Biden should drop out of the race.
Yeah, I mean, once she said that, it's like, okay, your allegations, clearly you don't want him to be president, but you shouldn't use the language that he should drop out of the race.
Yeah, because now you sound like a plant.
Exactly. What are you doing? Yeah, just be like, I don't think this guy should be president.
Right.
Not he should drop out of the race.
Because now it sounds like you're saying, he should just drop out of the race and then Donald Trump would just be president again. You sound like you're on Donald Trump's side and he put you up to this. So
you sound like you're on his payroll. Like,
right.
You should just drop out of the race and then I can get my direct deposit on Friday.
Right. Lady, focus on your, like you said, the allegations and keep it moving.
Exactly. So it's ridiculous. So we talked a little bit about Hope Hicks. When she was the White House communications director or assistant director or something like that. So a story came out that Hope Hicks was the quote unquote mastermind behind encouraging 45 to hold those daily coronavirus press conferences. And now that it's kind of blown up, and we talked about this, he didn't stop them immediately when he said he would, but they have now kind of calmed down and they've stopped and he hasn't been doing them. He's been issuing press releases, but he hasn't been doing them. But that was her idea. And her idea was to tell him, hey, man, you need to get out in front of this and you need to be the strong man. You need to be showing the American people that you're on top of it. And so he listened to her. First of all, I didn't even know Hope Hicks was back in the circle like that, but that now furthers my theory Yeah, 45 and Hope Hicks. I mean, they've been carrying on an affair since way before he was president. But
She's
anyway, the
very
point.
attractive.
She's very attractive. I mean, the man has good taste. I'm not even gonna go there. But point being, she's the one that told him to have these briefings in the first place, and now she's the one that's telling him, like, look, okay, maybe that didn't work out the way we thought. However, you need to at least let Kayleigh McKennedy come out there once in a while, do a little briefing. I say all this to say Hope Hicks is back in the circle. They're trying to regroup. They're trying to remessage. They haven't had a coronavirus briefing in the same sense like they used to have it every day, but they've been trying to message it. Anthony Fauci and Deborah Birx are still on commercials and they're still out there, but we're not having the, daily circus like we used to have. So that did calm down a little bit. That being said, you would think it's Mike Pence's opportunity to step up. So Mike Pence is supposed to be the head of the coronavirus task force. And we even talked about it last week. Mike Pence is, he usually is the cleanup man. But, remember when we said bad week for brothers? It's
He's
been a bad week for Mike.
month.
Yeah, it's been a bad week / month for Mike Pence. Mike Pence is starting to get some stain on him. So here are the ones I know about, and then maybe you could give some color to some other stuff. So Mike Pence decided he wanted to go to a factory when they were, going to visit the factory. They were making masks. And the whole big sort of thrust of this story was that he was going to show himself delivering a box of masks and PPE to a hospital. Actually, yeah, I'm getting my stories mixed up. Yeah, he didn't go to the factory. 45 went to the factory. Mike Pence took a box of PPE and was supposed to deliver it to a hospital. PPE is the equipment. So they call
it was a nursing home in Virginia.
Yeah, exactly. They called Mike Pence on a hot mic. And the hot mic is the best thing ever invented in life. And they called us, one of the National Guard, whoever, Secret Service, saying, hey, sir, just so you know, these next few boxes, they're empty. And he said, oh,
well,
okay.
Can I carry the empty ones?
Well, can I carry you and carry him in just so the cameras can see it?
God.
Now, this is the same Mike Pence, and y'all will see the episode coming out. I mean, Mike Pence been moonwalking. Mike Pence been having a bad couple weeks, man.
Yeah, and now his press secretary has coronavirus.
I was about to we go into that, and then we wrapping it up. But yeah. So can we have the cameras catch it? And everybody caught that. Now I got this from Jimmy Kimmel, so I gotta give him the credit. He said a big box of nothing, delivering a big box of nothing. And that's what Mike Pence is. He can give you a lot of words. He can give you, he can sound good. He can look good as somebody, like look good, quote unquote, as somebody credible, but he has nothing to say. And that was proof of it. And now to your point, yes.
But Jimmy Kimmel kind of walked that back, though.
How?
Well, he kind of gave him a backhanded apology.
What did he apologize for?
Well,
he wasn't wrong for it.
Well, no, he wasn't, but he gave him a little backhand apology. And I don't know why he did that. Okay. He should have just kept it.
I'm about to say he had nothing to apologize for in that sense. Now, if there was something else, then that's fine. Then we can suss that out at some other point. But Jimmy Kimmel had nothing to apologize for in that instance because the man tried to pretend that there was PPE going into their house and there was not. So
he tweeted that it would appear that Mike Pence was joking about carrying empty boxes for a stage publicity stunt. The full video reveals that he was carrying full boxes for a stage publicity stunt.
No, he definitely was carrying full. Okay, well, he'll need to apologize for that because anybody with common sense. Look, I will tell you, Mike Pence was at that event that whole day. It's not like he showed up for that alone. So if that's what Jimmy Kimmel feels like he needs to apologize for, then I mean, this whole segment we just did, I'll jump out there. I'm not apologizing to Mike Pence. Mike Pence was there for the event, and that was it.
I think his apology was layered with sarcasm.
Yeah, like whatever.
That's why they call it a backhanded one.
Yeah, it's backhanded. Yeah,
He's
good.
Like, I know how dearly the administration values truth.
That's good. That's good. But yeah, and so the other thing, the last thing with Mike Pence is that his press secretary, now it's coronavirus. Now listen, I'm not one of those people. When people are diagnosed with COVID-19, I'm like, look, let's let everybody recover from COVID-19. I'm not here rooting for death because that's horrific. The whole thing about this is, first of all, she's Mike Pence's press secretary. We already talked about how Mike Pence wasn't wearing a mask last week at the factory and then try to act like it wasn't protocol. 45 hasn't been wearing a mask anywhere. So these are the two people that are supposed to be in charge of protocol in terms of how you act when you even suspect there may be COVID-19 around. She has it. She is the wife. I believe her name is Karen Miller. Is that correct? Or Kathy Miller?
I believe it's Kathy Miller.
Yeah. She's the wife of Stephen Miller, who I've talked about.
Sorry.
Katie. Well, there we go. She's the wife of Stephen Miller, who I've mentioned briefly on the show a couple times. He is 45's darker side aide. Like every bad instinct that 45 has ever had, racially or anything else, comes from Stephen Miller. He feeds that. That's his wife, who is Mike Pence's press secretary. She has coronavirus, or she has COVID-19, I should say. So, she's been diagnosed with that. But really what it's a reflection of is Mike Pence and 45 and everybody around them, they don't wear masks. They don't do anything. They don't take any precautions. And honestly, whether they gave it to her or she gave it to them or Stephen Miller has it or anyone else has it, they could be giving it to anybody because they just walk around like nothing's wrong.
Yeah, and they waste a bunch of tests because they keep getting tested every other day.
Exactly. And they're clearly lying about the test results. So you can't believe a word they say. But yeah, as far as that goes, unless you have anything else, that's all the political news we have for tape today.
Moving on to entertainment. So
a
couple things. Actually, we kind of leaving another person out. Maybe he doesn't mean so much to our community as the other two that we have listed. Mm-hmm. But Roy from Siegfried and Roy passed away, as well as Andre Harrell and Little Richard yesterday.
Yes, and that was an omission that was an accidental omission. Nah, he was a big entertainer.
Roy Horn. He was very big entertainer. We don't know the details of Andre Harrell's death. We do know that Roy Horn died at 75 from COVID-19 complications. I'm not sure we know what happened with Little Richard either, but I will say this, he was 87. So it could very well be he died of old age.
Correct.
It's interesting though, because recently an episode of Martin, which Little Richard was on I think he was a plumber.
Yeah. Just came on today, right?
Came on. This week. So it's just, I just remember growing up and seeing Little Richard. I mean, he was already older by the time I was like a kid. But I just remember him always like fussing about how he never got any credit for anything, which is true. He never won a Grammy. He used to always get him to host the Grammys or be a presenter at the Grammys. And the first thing out of his mouth was, "Y'all ain't never gave me nothing."
Yeah.
And I just remember him from doing that like all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. He always, like you said, he was before our time. We're in the same time. I always just remember him just having an attitude about everything. And disrespect. It was like a Rodney Dangerfield type, where you knew he was important, but you also knew that he played off of how he wasn't respected enough.
Yeah. And definitely, he was right. I mean, he was rock and roll before rock and roll became what we know it to be. Mm-hmm. He died of bone cancer. Sorry. So let's walk that back.
Okay. Well, you didn't. I mean, you said you didn't know. Yeah, we didn't know.
But yeah, he died this morning.
Now, interestingly enough, and you know, it's sad because under normal circumstances, Little Richard's career was big enough and is big enough where it will be major news and it'll be covered and all of that. But that's probably not going to happen because every celebrity's death is going to be, especially old celebrities' death, is going to be put on the pill of, was it COVID-19? We're asking about Andre Harrell and who'd you just say? I'm sorry.
Roy Horn. We do know that he died off because of COVID-19 complications. Yeah. We don't know how Andre Harrell died.
It's been speculated that it was COVID-19. I've seen that. And not just like rumors speculated, like legitimately speculated that it was COVID-19 as well for Andre Harrell. I'm not putting it as gospel. I will not on this podcast. We don't do that. But my point being, I will put as a story that it's been speculated that it's been, he died of COVID-19. So we'll see how that goes from here. But yeah, Little Richard, man, all of that, was that within 24 hours, all three?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had heard about Roy Horn first, and then later, like sometime today, I heard about Little Richard and Andre Harrell. And Little Richard, I was starting to say that he was rock and roll before we know what rock and roll is now. Him and the Ozzy Brothers actually were doing a lot of the same kind of music, and was redone or stolen by white artists.
Yeah.
Specifically people like Elvis, taking their music and making it their own. And, now everybody thinks that Elvis is the king.
Yeah.
But that dude never wrote his own music, stole everybody's music. But I'm not even going to go there. But a lot of what we know to be rock and roll came from this man because it was stolen from him. Now, speaking on our era, Andre Harrell produced a lot of the soundtrack of our lives. I mean, you're talking Mary J. Blige, you're talking Jodeci, you're talking Heavy D and the Boys, you're talking Al B. Shore, Christopher Williams, like Uptown Records. You don't get Puff without Andre Harrell first.
You were just talking about Teddy Riley the other day or other week when we were talking about the verses. There's no Teddy Riley without Andre Harrell. There's no Puff or Diddy, as we like to call him, without Andre Harrell. Right?
There's no Andre Harrell without Teddy?
No. I said there's no Teddy without Andre Harrell. No, yeah.
I think they were on different planes.
Okay.
They worked together.
I'll defer to you on that.
They worked together nicely, but Teddy had been doing stuff since he was a teenager. So I would say that the lanes are congruent, but yeah. But you definitely don't get Mary J. Blige without Andre Harrell. And that's a big one. It's a huge one. I mean, just the hit that came out of Uptown Records during the early 90s was just like crazy.
Yeah. Nah, that's a big, and like you said, Mary J, I mean, My Life and all of that, that's all Andre Harrell. Point blank, period. Yeah, so huge loss today. But so other entertainment news. Now, you alluded to it earlier. We got Erykah Badu. We got Jill Scott. How's Versus going in general? I heard some upcoming possible battles, but can you give me an update on what's been going on in general with that?
The Erykah Badu and Jill Scott one is still going. It supposedly started at 7. It's like 9:45, and they're still going.
Good.
So I got that on here. I think, was it Dr. Dre that said he was going to go against Diddy?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's been actually like solidified.
I don't feel like Dre's like committed to it. Everyone says he has, but I haven't seen a date. I haven't seen anything beyond that. A lot of people want Drake to go up against like some 90s rappers, just hit for hit. Drake has a lot of hits. Yeah, Drake has a lot of hits. So I'm not going to sit here and say, I know what I would choose, but I'm not going to sit here and say that it wouldn't be dope.
DMX called out Jay-Z.
That's the one that's gotten some attention this week. What do you think of that?
I think if folks think it's going to be that Jay-Z is going to just wash DMX, they really don't know anything about hip-hop.
Really? Because I believe Jay will wash DMX. Now, DMX is not sorry or nothing, but what?
Nah, I think you cannot discount a dude who had 5 straight #1 albums. He was the first hip-hop artist to ever do it. 5 straight #1 albums. Like, you can't discount this guy. You just can't. Just because Jay-Z is out here and he's been out here longer, don't mean that you can discount some of his hits, though. Because DMX has some big hits. Like, I just think when you hear them I think it's easier to judge when you hear them next to each other than to just flat out be like, oh, Jay-Z gonna wash him. I think that's just irresponsible.
Okay. Well, who do you think will win?
I don't know. Honestly, I like a lot of what DMX's music. Like, I'm not the biggest Jay fan, so I'm probably not the person to ask. Like, when AOC didn't put Jay-Z in her top 5, I was like, I probably wouldn't put him in mine either. So, you know what I mean? So,
all right, well, we don't got to do it on the show today, but Stop Playing Podcast Family, we got a top 5 episode coming up. So
we've done it, didn't we? No, we did.
No, we haven't.
We did the rappers to actors. That's what we did.
Yeah. Nah, yeah. That the top 5 episode, that might be a 2-parter. Like that would get so serious. But okay.
It only take me less than 5 minutes. But if you wanted to carry on, I'd be happy to sit here and let you.
I mean, that's a nice way to nuke the argument, but all right, no problem. Yeah, that's a nice way to try to nuke the argument, but whatever. But I think Jay will win that. So we'll I will leave my point right there for now. One quick entertainment note on that same subject. Sam, did you see the resurgence of Tekashi 6ix9ine?
No, and I never will. But before you get into that, I want to mention that John Legend wants a piano versus against Alicia Keys.
I saw that as well.
And I think
will you watch that?
Hell no, I can't listen to her. Only if it's a piano battle. If she starts singing, I gotta go.
Well, I knew who you were gonna declare the victor of that.
I don't like either one of their voices, so I don't even think that I could listen to either one of them. for longer than 5 minutes. But if it's a piano battle, I would be down for it.
So not only do you not like Alicia Keys' voice, but in terms of the piano playing ability, you'll discount her so bad over John Legend that it's not even a contest?
I didn't even say anything like that. Where do you draw these conclusions? I said if it's a piano versus, then I would be into it, but I don't want to hear them sing.
Okay. Who do you think will win that?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like John Legend is a better piano player, but maybe there's something that Alicia Keys has that I haven't seen. Like, to me, she just sounds like the people I went to school with in college that could play the piano. So she didn't seem to be that much better than folks in my music circles. So, I mean, I don't know. It'd be interesting. An instrumental battle.
All right, cool. With this Tekashi thing, did you see? You didn't see his video. I'm not watching his video, his music, but he made a little diatribe.
I heard, and he got a lot of
ridiculous views, like damn near 5 million at the end of it. But as he was talking, it was 1.5 and then 2 million and then all that. That young man, I mean, reckless, out of this world.
Still,
yeah.
Nothing taught him a lesson.
Taught him a lesson. He sat and made a cogent argument about why snitching wasn't a problem because of who he was snitching on. And then he made jokes about the people who he's snitching on and how they're jealous of him.
Okay.
I'm putting that in basically I'm encapsulating what he was doing. But yeah, it was ridiculous.
Well, I'm glad I didn't lose any time in my life paying attention to that nonsense.
Yeah, the only other thing I'll say about that is that a bunch of stars were definitely commenting and being verified on his Instagram, which is troubling for all parties involved. So I saw it on YouTube, and everybody was like, "Wow, all these stars like co-signing this. It's ridiculous." But okay, so that's that. So that's the verses. We'll see how it plays out. Insecure. Now, Sham, I'm gonna just go ahead and say right now, I have not watched a second of Insecure since the last time we taped, so I am no further ahead than where I was. However, after we tape, I'm going to breeze through Insecure and give you a text summary of it. That's where I was going with that.
I mean, geez, it's only 2 episodes. It's like an hour of your life.
I know.
I don't understand.
My life is so busy. I don't know.
You literally sat and watched some old ass movies yesterday that I would have literally fallen asleep on, and you couldn't fit into episodes of Insecure?
Nah, not for those movies you're talking about. You're saying them so disdainfully. I mean, you said you would have fell asleep, but I was sitting there watching them.
Yeah, because you're 80.
I know. I'm an old man soul, I guess. I mean, the movies she's talking about, guys, are The Patriot. You know what I'm saying?
Especially The Untouchables. That's a long ass movie.
Well, no, not The Untouchables. The Patriot, Unforgiven, Tombstone, and Shawshank. Now, Shawshank is a long draw. I didn't sit there and watch that whole movie. But Unforgiven and Tombstone, no, I'm not interrupting those for Insecure.
But you've seen them before.
Yes, I have.
And you can see them again.
Yes. See, I know what's good. I know the enjoyment I'm going to get from seeing those movies. I don't know what Insecure is going to give me. I don't know that. So that's a gamble. I'm not really willing to make that gamble.
It's not that deep.
As a matter of fact, the AMC program director, this was all on AMC, and I posted this as well. The AMC program director posted The Patriot, Unforgiven, Tombstone, Shawshank. Now, Shawshank, I could live without that one. But The
That's
Patriot...
probably the one I would watch out of all of them.
Unforgiven and Tombstone, you're tripping. Yeah.
They're Western.
Tombstone? You're
Western.
tripping.
It's a Western.
Yeah.
Fucking hate Westerns. Why the hell would I sit through Tombstone?
I mean, if you fall asleep through Tombstone, then you don't like action. Because yes, it's a Western, but it's basically an action movie in Western times. So okay. Some other entertainment notes. Jack Ryan. So listen, I'm late on this. Stop Playing Family. I know I'm late on this. Jack Ryan has 2 seasons. I've just started it. This is a coronavirus sit at home watch. You just put on, and I love it. It's basically Homeland, but like the guy's version. It's got my man Wendell Pierce,
Shoot, that man. No, he can
Bunk.
get a damn job.
Yes, he can. Bunk from The Wire, and he is the second character on here. It's excellent. It's Homeland on steroids, basically. And look, I used to read Tom Clancy novels with Jack Ryan when I was a kid and all that. So, I mean, this is what's up. And my man Krasinski, who I talked about, who directed one of those movies we talked about, one of those scary movies with Emily Blunt. That's Emily Blunt's husband. He's Jack Ryan. And so, yeah, that's what's up. Speaking of Wendell Pierce, there's a sequel to The Wire being developed by David Simon. I don't understand how you can have a sequel when like most of the people are dead or in jail, but I guess they're gonna go back to Baltimore because Baltimore is still as wild as it was back then. So we'll see about that. I saw that story this week. HBO has picked it up, and we'll see about that. And then also Vice. Now, Sham, did you remember the show Vice?
Never watched it.
Spectacular. Forget cable news and all that. You want news, you go to Vice. Vice is the type of, it used to be the type of show. And yes, it was on HBO, but whatever. But they used to go down to countries or situations. I believe we talked about it on the show where they would just take a camera crew and go into the worst situation ever and film it. It's a documentary. So the show got canceled, but then they created their own network. And man, the network is blossoming. So they've had 2 shows that are going to get some attention. One is happening right now, The Dark Side of the Ring. It's about the WWF and WWE and WCW and everything that we grew up on. And Sam, I know you watch wrestling, so don't play with me. Okay? The Dark Side of the Ring. Have you heard about this show?
Nope.
It's basically about all the horrible stuff we heard about wrestling. They're doing an expose on Vice. Chris Benoit, the Hart Brothers, the Ultimate Warrior, you know, all the dark stuff about Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, all of that, Ted D, all of that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing a special now on Vice channel. So Vice has its own channel. And man, it is spectacular. It's excellent. They're going to do Chris Benoit, or I think they just did it. I just haven't seen it yet. Chris Benoit, one of the WWF wrestlers, we all know what he did. He killed his wife, he killed his son. It was ridiculous. They're going to go all into that. And man, Vice, they go into drug cartels, they go into foreign countries, Al Qaeda, whatever you want, they're doing it. They're also going to do, Sham, what we've talked about on the show. Bernie Sanders, the political process in America. They're doing a special about how they believe that the Democratic Party did in 2020 what they did in 2016 and basically nuked Bernie Sanders' campaign. When Bernie Sanders dropped out, you talked about how it was a bad, move, or not bad move, but just a bad day for the Democratic Party and for America. Well, Vice is taking that further, like, yeah, he got nuked again. So they're doing an expose on that, on the major networks and all that. That's coming out on the 13th. So that's about 4 or 5 days from now. So that's coming up. So I'm excited. A lot of stuff coming up. In entertainment.
Cool. You ready to get into some sports?
Always.
Let's go.
What you got?
Well, seems like Bomani Jones and Pablo Torre have gotten a reprieve.
Yeah. Yeah, their show got canceled. That being said, they got extended on ESPN on their contract. Now,
I have no problem with that because I love me some Bomani Jones.
Yeah, I mean, just have Bomani Jones on there for an hour, talk about whatever he wants, huh?
Not an hour, maybe a half hour.
But yeah, I was interested about that. So their show High Noon is gonna go off. Actually, it should be off by now, I would think.
I thought they had until September, but I mean, I could be wrong.
Yeah, I hope not. I mean, they don't got nothing to talk about till September. They might as well cut the cord on that.
Well,
right
they
now.
Got shit to talk about now, so they might as well
exactly
do that.
Yeah, cut the cord on that.
But I mean, the extension is really just going to have them do the stuff that they was doing before. Like they're just going to be contributing to shows.
Yeah.
Like Bomani was on Highly Questionable. He's going to go back to doing that. They're going to be doing Around the Horn and guesting on Pardon the Interruption. They're going to appear on Sports Center. They're just going to be doing the same stuff they were doing before they got the show. Which is, hey, it's good job security.
Yeah. Bomani was really good on Highly Questionable. I liked him and Lebitard on there. But Lebitard probably is not long for ESPN because he's been perking out lately, trying to actually be woke about social issues.
Yeah. I mean, Mike and Mike is over, which probably was my second favorite show on ESPN. I know there was a lot
Mike
of people.
Mike and Mike was good. No, I liked it.
Didn't like that show. I never understood the negativity towards that show. Like people just didn't like it, but I thought they did a really good job. It sucked that they didn't like each other to the point where they couldn't work together anymore because their shows without each other are horrible. Very horrible. But the one that they did together was great. And I loved on I think it was Tuesdays that they would Bomani would call into the show and they'd have a segment with him. And he was just very on the nose, very thoughtful, and I just like that whole segment that he used to. That's what kind of drew me in and was like, oh, I like this cat. So I liked him as a contributor on that show. And like you said, on Highly Questionable. But yeah, the High Noon thing just didn't work. It was like they was trying too hard. And I believe we said that several times.
Yeah, it just didn't work. Yeah. To your point about Mike and Mike, yeah, that was a good show. Yeah, they didn't have to upset the apple cart. I think it might have been a money question. Like both of them just won a bunch of money. Now, I'm not blaming the talent. I'm blaming the network. Just pay them.
They didn't like each other after a while. Like they had a falling out of some sort. And it was crazy because you would have never guessed it because they were so tight. Like their families were tight. But all of a sudden, they just couldn't stand each other anymore. So, I mean, that sucks when that happens.
Yeah, especially when you got something good going. No, that's crazy. But yeah, so that's what's happening there. So they're still on the network. We'll see what happens.
Talk about somebody who's not on the network and hasn't been for a while.
But
Jason
back
Whitlock.
and forth. So Jason Whitlock, look, we have not in the 2.5 years that we have been on this podcast. We probably mentioned his name, but I have not gone nuke on Jason Whitlock. I'm not going to Kirk, who you already gone over, but Jason Whitlock is absolute trash. I mean, look, he's one of the, premier, I guess, sports personalities by just the simple fact that he's on Fox. And, he used to be on ESPN. He hosts not Highly Questionable. We just talked about that. But what is it called? Speak for Yourself. Isn't it? Right?
Yeah, he co-hosts Speak for Yourself on Fox Sports right now.
Yeah. Jason Whitlock is trash. Now, here's where I'm going with this today. We already talked about Ahmaud Arbery and LeBron James, who has been a social justice warrior in terms of speaking out about issues, especially about black men being killed, sort of the Colin Kaepernick situation or protest. LeBron James spoke out about Ahmaud Arbery's killing on Twitter. He tweets, and I'll paraphrase, but basically like, what the fuck is going on, this and that. I can't even jog and not get killed. So then Jason Whitlock tweets and says, and I'll paraphrase this as well, but basically it's like, you're not helping, and this is Twitter trolling. Now, Sham, here's what I like about this. How are you going to go on Twitter and troll someone and tell them in your troll that they're Twitter trolling? Because that's basically what Jason Whitlock did. Like, he was not doing anything, saw LeBron James tweet, and then decided to tweet to him that what you're doing is Twitter trolling, and it's not helping. Can you explain to me how that works?
He trolled somebody and told him he was trolling?
Correct.
Yeah. And this is the crazy part about it. What he tweeted was, he said he was Twitter trolling and using this man's tragedy to build a brand as more outspoken than Michael Jordan. Suggesting that we are hunted every day, every time is just shit stirring. Right. No. Now, granted, LeBron James probably could run through his neighborhood and nothing could happen to him because everybody knows who he is. But that wasn't the point. The point is that this guy was literally just doing what he does all the time and got attacked and killed for no reason. And the fact that you are trolling LeBron James and making it seem like LeBron James has some type of brand to draw attention to, like, bruh, LeBron James has been a brand since he was a teenager. Why would he need this to enhance it? And why are you even bringing up Michael Jordan in this situation? Like, what are you even talking about? And you know what I love about Kendrick Perkins?
He's always here for it.
Always here for it. Kendrick Perkins was like, are you sure you're not trolling and making it about you? Like, right. Like, do better. Like, Kendrick Perkins wants all the smoke. I need to see him in some like celebrity boxing match against anybody because he is always ready. He stays ready. Yeah. And there's been lots of other tweets from NBA players. And I said this before the show. Tobias Harris said, because at Jason Whitlock, it's all about likes and retweets, shaking my head. Because that's what it is. It's all about him trying to stay relevant in a world where he would never be relevant because he's just whack. Yeah. So he says these ridiculous things just so he can keep being employed. And it's just stupid. He's a coon.
Very stupid.
Fucking coon.
Yeah. Cooning and buffooning.
Yeah.
It's bad.
I've been unconsciously saying, like, I don't want to devote any time to this dude on this podcast. And we've done it.
You talking about Jason Whitlock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never purposely tried to include him as a part of anything.
I'll confess to the listeners. I had to ask Sham, have we ever talked about Jason Whitlock on this podcast? And I understand exactly what she's talking about. And fans, I apologize. The time we've devoted was by my request, because just to show how much trash he is, we have not ignored the trash. Oh, I'm sorry. We haven't ignored the trash, but we're not ignorant of the trash. Jason Whitlock is trash. And maybe I'm being a little extra about it, and I'll put that on my jacket. But I need to say that we both know he's trash. And that's all the time he'll get. Trash. Trash. Sorry. Sorry, Sham. And sorry, listeners.
These broads have been going for 3 hours. This is crazy.
I mean,
Erykah
Badu. Erykah Badu can go for however you want, which, that's why people bought her fragrance.
So moving on to the NBA. So what's the update on when the season is going to start back up?
So look, the commissioner, it's a small update. The commissioner said he's going to have a call with everyone this week to talk about when we can resume the season. So we don't have an official date unless you have something I don't. We don't have an official date. However, they're at least talking about when we're going to have this season back up, which is major news. The fact that we're going to plow ahead, because if the NFL is going to have their draft and pretend like everything's normal, we're going to pretend like everything, we as in the NBA, we're going to pretend like everything's normal too, and let's have our season completed. That was the only thing I was going to say. Commissioner Stern, rest in peace. Commissioner Silver is fully intending on ending this season. He's fully intending on ending. He should start it up in mid-July.
They want to do daily testing, which is ridiculous. Like, where are you getting all these tests? Like, I find it just alarming that there's been this rhetoric that there's not enough tests, not enough tests, not enough tests. But certain people can get tests whenever they feel like it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, well, but I might sound, I might get some smoke. If you have a known base, I don't care if it's considered elitist. I mean, test them all. Now, daily test is absurd. I agree with you. But consistent testing, yeah, sure. I'm with it. If they're all in the same place at the same time doing the same thing, it's a control group. That's a control group. That's the definition of a control group. I'm with it. And if the control group's the NBA, I'm with it. I'm with it. So, I'm probably on the outlier of that, but I will jump out there and say that. Professional athletics is a control group. So I'm cool with it.
So the Bulls want to get rid of their coach. Did you hear about that?
No.
They trying to get Jim Boylan out of there and getting a new coach.
Really? Right now?
Right.
For what? That's hilarious.
I thought you would find that hilarious. Which is why I brought it up.
What are the quote unquote charges?
that they've probably been watching The Last Dance and realized that they have been underachieving since 1998. They like, man, we sit here watching The Last Dance every weekend, and our coach is some trash.
Hey, Sham,
but he's 39 and 84 since taking over for Fred Hoiberg. So look.
Sham, I always talk about rooms I want to be in. I want to be in a room where that decision was made on the spot. It was made. Like, if they sit there smoking weed last Sunday watching The Last Dance, like, you know what?
Sell the team.
I know ain't nothing going on right now, like, whatever, but we need to make improvement right now. Our brand is suffering. Like, we used to be the... now, Sham, I will say this. I mean, when they play the Bulls intro song, yes. Whatever song, I don't even know what that song is called, and I should come prepared. But I do remember a few years before this when NBA 2K or either NBA 2K or whatever the other NBA game was on EA Sports, Live, NBA Live, where they had Mike like walking into the arena with that song at his back.
Oh, when he finally let them use his likeness?
Yes, and that was the commercial for it. And then they played the song, and everybody was like, I'm going to buy that game, like, right now. It was like Jordan's. And, I mean, it's just, it's that's one of the best songs I've ever heard. That's a brand. That's what you think of when you think of the Bulls. So yeah, whoever was sitting there watching The Last Dance, like, I mean, how we let it get like this? Let's fire the coach. Make some news right now. Yeah, I'm with that. I mean, I'm not with it in terms of morally, but I see where their head was. I see exactly what their head was. Shan, we got a couple other sports stories.
Man, this one should have probably led the whole
It should have.
It should have led the whole podcast. I feel bad because a lot of our listeners don't even make it this far, and this is a really, really huge and slightly entertaining story.
But you know what? We've done what he asked us to do. We're not salacious. We're not just leading with the low hanging fruit. But would you like to lay this out?
Yeah, so Earl Thomas, who we've talked about on this show before.
Yes. For his abilities.
For his abilities. Guess he just can't get a break, eh? Yeah, he and his brother apparently were in a bit of a threesome. And Earl Thomas's wife found said threesome and pulled a gun on him. Which, I mean, I have no problems with this, except for it's probably illegal. But
well, right. Okay, you know what, Sam? It's becoming apparent to me, based on my opinions, even before you made that comment, that we might need to cut some other stuff out of this episode to devote to this.
Facts.
Okay. First, point number one. You have any problem with this aside from what now?
That it's illegal.
So if that law was on the books, no problems here.
Look, I'm your wife, and I walk into a room with you and your brother naked in the bed with some random chick. I should have every right to attack you how I see fit, as long as I don't kill you. But come on. So check it. I mean, there are obvious issues with this, but the most obvious thing that popped out to me was like, yo, why are you naked in bed with your brother? Like,
okay, thank you. Now we will agree on that, and then we can parse out some of the other
what kind of incestuous shit are y'all doing?
The first thing I thought when I heard the story, I don't know about you, Sham. I find myself, I consider myself a very smart person, where I could read a story and absorb it the first time and get the facts. There are times when I have to read something 2 times, just so that if I'm prepared to argue about it, I can say, I've read it twice. In this instance, I read this story 3 times before I even jumped out there. Only because of the brother aspect, the sibling aspect. What the fuck are you doing in bed with your brother?
I mean, I couldn't even get past that part. Like,
what are you doing in your brother? Yeah,
I was like, wait, what?
I needed to know for sure that Earl Thomas, who was smart enough to get out, try to call himself getting out in front of this a day beforehand or a couple hours beforehand, when he knew it was gonna get leaked, where he was like, "Hey man, a story is about to come out about me or TMZ tomorrow. Pray for us," is what he said. Basically, I paraphrase it. But he was like, "Pray for me and my family. I'm already reconciling with my wife. Like, let us handle our business." So you knew it was bad when he felt like he had to do that. Once you heard the story, you were like, "Wait a minute. You and your brother are..." Sham, the brother aspect, I can't get over it. Like, I have brothers. Even if we are plotting on the same group of girls, we're not plotting on the same girl, and we damn sure are not smash her at the same time. What are we talking about?
Yeah. So when I said I don't have any problems with this, except for I meant I don't have problems with her behavior, except for the fact that it's illegal to do that. But I have all types of problems with the setup.
Wait a minute, illegal. It's what's illegal on her part?
Well, putting the gun to his head.
That's not. Oh! When you say her, you meant his wife. I thought you meant.
Yeah, the wife.
I thought you meant the shared girl.
I don't care about that. Fine.
Oh,
she can get out.
Actually, she might be important. Is she not the one, or either her friend who filmed it?
Wait, there's a film?
What are you talking? Yes.
Holy shit! I told you I only read it once.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yes.
Whoa.
And look, Sham, once we get a big production team, we're gonna have a horn on here. And when the horn comes on, it'll be like alert.
Whoa.
Yeah. Alert. Yeah. Breaking news.
Ew, there's an actual visual record. Gross.
Yeah. Now, I don't think it's like capture everything at all times, but yes, there is footage of this. That's why Earl Thomas felt the need to get in front of the story.
He said, I mean, it's not really anyone's business. It pisses me off that it got out.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. Now, my understanding is that it was just more than those three in the room. That it actually was an orgy. As a matter of fact, my understanding further is that maybe the brother had a girl as well, but that they're all in the same room. But even still.
But the brother and him and the woman were the three of them were in the bed though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I said room, and then to your point, you're saying bed, and I agree with you. There's a lot of weirdness between Earl Thomas's brother, whatever woman's in question. There may be another person in the room, but there's a bed and then there's a room. Yes. And then there's other people beyond that. Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So, all right. The video was on Snapchat, and that's how the wife knew. And then she tracked him using his Snapchat. Oh, you got to be so stupid.
Correct.
But they're already reconciling. They're saying that she bought him a necklace or something.
I mean, like, some other was, well, at least a kid, I believe.
So? The worst thing you can do is stay together for the kids.
I'm not saying stay together for the kid, but let's navigate through this situation. The immediate aftermath of this situation. Let's try to get through that, and then we can, figure it out after that. Right? That's what I'm talking about.
And an Airbnb too.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Yeah, you can't have it on my name.
Jesus.
But yeah, the brother. Listen, the sibling rivalry or whatever you want to call it is what gave me the most pause on that.
You sure this was a rivalry? Seemed to me like they was just enjoying the woman together.
Yeah. I was using rivalries facetiously, and it's disgusting. I mean, let's just, I was trying to be polite about this situation. But ridiculous. All right, so to wrap things up,
NFL.
Look, we got some NFL news.
Do we?
We were talking about the NFL free agency situation. We were talking about quarterbacks and all that. Andy Dalton has been signed as a backup quarterback by the Cowboys. Now, you are a fan of the Eagles. What do you think of this? Is this significant to you in any way?
You know, we talked about this last week, right?
Yes, but more has come out this week.
Well, what's the more?
Okay, the more is that, number one, Dak Prescott is nowhere near signing the contract. So even though last week we knew that he had not signed, I thought it was amicable.
No.
Now,
Mm-mm.
What's that?
No, definitely not amicable.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. Yeah, it's not amicable. And my friend had tried to convince me that this was nothing to see here. There's something to see here. There's something to see. Andy Dalton may take over the whole starting job. Also, what we didn't talk about, at least we talked about a little bit, but where's Cam Newton going? Now let's go into this. Where's Cam Newton gonna end up?
Nowhere.
I mean, are you positing that the 2020 season will start without Cam Newton signed to a team?
It's not off the table. Why wouldn't? I mean, ain't nobody rushing to sign him now. Shit, that may not even be a 2020 season, so I don't even know.
Okay,
they got a schedule though.
Yeah, I'm about to say. Before we get to it, if there's a schedule, odds on Cam Newton.
2-1. I mean,
2-1 not being signed by anybody?
I mean, the odds are 50-50. He gonna be signed or he not. Like, I mean,
okay.
By who? I don't even know who needs him.
A bunch of teams.
My original theory was that he was going to end up with the Redskins, but that seems like that's not going to happen. So I don't know where he's going to go.
A bunch of teams need him, and that would be a disgrace.
Shoot, his old team needs him.
Yeah, I mean, shit. I would take Cam Newton, but anyway, all right, cool. So to round things out, schedule came out this week. Sham, you looked at the schedule. What you like? What you don't?
I don't know. I think it's weird that we're bookended with the Redskins first and last game.
I noticed that too. That was weird as hell.
But I tell you what, I do like that the last 4 games aren't all like NFC East games. We pretty much get out the most of our NFC East games in the middle of the season. So
yeah. One thing I noticed that they do, and maybe I'm tripping, so you can correct me if I'm not. They did a Giants like sandwich
with the
like
Cowboys.
In the middle. Yeah, like y'all played the Giants like twice in like 4 weeks.
Twice in 3 weeks.
Yeah, maybe. I think there's a bye in there, but even still, twice in 3 games. And I feel like they did
that last year.
I was about to say, I feel like they've done that. Even not just last year, but okay, if it's just last year, but even still, they always like kind of sandwich the Giants in like a 2 or in like a 3, 4, maybe 5 game stretch. They don't have to do that. Like, I feel like that's a good rivalry that they could stretch out a little bit more. I don't know. But y'all don't care about that. You don't consider that a rivalry because you crushed the Giants.
Yeah, I consider it a couple W's on the record.
Do you still consider it a couple W's on the record this year?
Absolutely.
Okay.
They're the Giants.
All right.
What have they done to improve their outcome from last season to this season?
All right. Well, there you go. Well, in my world, I am very excited about a couple games. We're going to play the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to go ahead and give them their respect because, you know, when you honor your enemy, that shows hopefully you're ready to at least play them.
I hope y'all beat them at least once this year. I'm tired of y'all losing to them.
I really hope so as well.
Because I really want that to be an actual rivalry.
So, Sham, do you know when one of the games is against them? My birthday is November 23rd. We play them November 22nd.
Is that Thanksgiving?
No. Thanksgiving will be the following Thursday from that Sunday. But so I guess the 25th or whatever, 24th, whatever. But that 22nd will be the first game that the Chiefs, the Chefs, come into whatever the hell it's called, but I call it Death Star. So I plan on going to that game, is the point. So we may do a ska show, guys, from that location.
Yeah, I will not be at any games anytime soon.
I mean, hopefully, that's November. We're in May. That's 6 months from now. Hopefully we get this situation under control.
Look, if there's an antibiotic out there that I can take if I get sick, I'm good on it. Yeah. So all we need is a treatment. Later for that vaccine, I need a treatment.
Yeah. So that's we have a bunch of Tom Brady's coming down there in October. I might go to that. Like mid-October. Were there any, how you always, when the schedule comes out, you always look at destinations you may want to go to? Are there any destinations independent of sort of the football rivalry that you were looking at?
It's hard for me to sit here and be like, I want to go to a stadium I've never been to when there's a coronavirus hitting. Like,
I understand that. I'm saying, okay, all of this, I'll make it easy. All of this is independent of if the pandemic is as bad or even like not even slightly worse as it is now. If that makes sense.
All right. So let me see. I'm looking at the schedule. Let me look at the away games. Washington, San Francisco, Pittsburgh. Oh, we got a good little home game stretch. Go ahead. New York, Cleveland, Green Bay. So last year I wanted to go to Green Bay, but I was out of the country. And this year I would not go to Green Bay because it's in December and that's cold. So I'm thinking the only game on here that I would like entertain traveling to is week 15 in Arizona.
Okay. And that's far enough away where that's actually on the table.
And it would still be warm.
Yeah. We'll see what's up. Sam, you have anything else?
Nah, homie. Let's wrap this up.
All right. Well, you take us out because you got all the platforms.
No, they got all the platforms. We are on all the platforms. So thanks again for listening to the Stop Playing Podcast with Sham and Shaka. Like I just said, we're on all the platforms. So pull it up. You can also hit us up on Instagram and Facebook at the Stop Playing Podcast and on Twitter at stop_playing_pod. I'll try to be more active on there as I like trolling people on Twitter. Like I always say, no double dipping unless it's the podcast. Please listen to several episodes. We need the listenership. And if you're listening on iTunes or Apple Podcasts, please leave reviews. That would be awesome. And we'll talk to you soon.
Stop playing.